Mm, water is good, baby. All right, guys, I'm back real quick before I take off. Just wanted to, um, how do I say it? Throw out my thoughts, I guess, about the networks that are going on in boxing. The zone's made some pretty big moves. It sounds like Wilder's close to, if not already, about to make a deal with the zone. Can't knock him. I would say Wilder's probably been the most consistent heavyweight and really one of the most consistent fighters in general in terms of attitude and making big fights and just overall daring to be great throughout his career. So I'm definitely a Wilder fan. Um, I do think Tyson Fury probably should have got the nod. I'm not, I don't think Wilder only won the rounds where he got a knockdown. I think that's a bit egregious. The first couple of rounds, Tyson Fury wasn't really doing that much. Yes, Wilder was missing wildly and all this stuff, but Fury wasn't making him pay for it either the first couple of rounds. So it's not egregious to say that Wilder was winning rounds based on aggression, especially as the champion. So, I'm not gonna say he had a shitty performance or anything like that. It wasn't his best, obviously, but ended up being a draw. Tyson Fury, I was proud of him for making the fight and doing his thing, but hard not to call it a duck move for jumping to another network. People say, "Oh, it's great, he made his money," but kind of like I said in the previous video with Thurman and Porter, not handling that business and then just jumping to something else. Not a big fan of it. Vord did that with Kovalev. After the first fight and went to Showtime to fight Adonis or whatever. People want to win in on Andre Ward. People went in on Adonis, and rightfully so, when he left HBO to fight on Showtime. Even though that first initial year, he actually had some decent fights. Fought from Farah. I think he fought. No, he fought DeForest Cloud on HBO. So was it Tony Bellew? He had at least one solid fight in 2014, but you could argue the rest of Stevenson's um, resume kind of downward a little bit. I mean, I don't want to talk too bad about Stevenson, because I heard he's doing better um, physically, so shout out to him. But you know, rightfully so, people went out at him when he left network. So it's kind of a, it's you know, kind of a duck move, man. I was disappointed when Fury did that. I kind of felt weird about it initially because I'm kind of happy for him. Like, yeah, he made his money, but now he just created more chaos throughout the division. Kind of threw in a monkey wrench for the rest of the division. Um, so if Wilder does go to the zone, will he fight Dominic Brazil in the zone too? I would imagine so, right? Get a couple of fights to build up his the zone profile, and then hopefully we finally get AJ versus Wilder. And if that happens sooner rather than later with this deal, I'm all for it. This fight is long overdue and probably the first real progress for it to actually happening. So, I'm happy for Wilder. Get your bag. I know Paulie Malignaggi was talking about, he was endorsing Tyson Fury's power move, I guess, to go to ESPN, but, you know, Showtime's kind of gone in on Wilder this last couple of fights. Um, I mean, those were, the best names on his resume, so obviously those fights are going to be more competitive, but clearly there was no loyalty in this game. So, you know, Von Wilder, who's basically kept Showtime afloat, him and the PBC banner. Real reason why Showtime was relevant, why they kicked HBO out of boxing, and Wilder had a heavy part to do with that. I think he's, at least since 2016, he's probably the only fighter on Showtime to do viewerships over 1 million views, at least on regular Showtime. I don't think Earl Spence, Mikey, Keith, Danny. Danny's had over 1 million views, but not since 2016. So, the last 2, 3 years, Wilder's really been Showtime's top guy, and Showtime didn't seem to show much love to him. So, if I'm Wilder, tell him to kick rocks. Do what's best for your career. Um, so we'll see what happens with the heavyweight division. Wilder will probably fight Brazil. Hell, he might even fight Dillian White after. Because I don't know if they're going to put him in with AJ immediately. Uh, Depends how that fight with Big Baby goes, and that could be a tough fight too, especially after the if Miller has a good chin. Seventh round could be interesting, but the zone's made some big moves. They got Triple G. Sounds like they're getting Wilder. Um, they got a lot of the top light heavyweights now. They got half of 168. They got all the middleweights except for Charlo, and yeah, except for Charlo and Rob Brandt. So outside of those two, pretty much all the top middleweights are on the zone. I'm trying to think who else is with the zone. Um, yeah, but the zone's made some pretty good moves. They didn't have a great 2018, but 2019 they're looking pretty good so far. No major cards yet. Obviously, Canelo Jacobs is coming soon. Miller versus Joshua is coming up soon. Beevil versus Smith Jr. just happened, and that was a cool fight. So we'll see. The zone they're still new in American soil, so they still got some proving to do. But I like where they're headed. Only $10 a month. It's basically another Netflix subscription, and that's kind of where all of television is headed towards anyway. Either it's the free cable television, or the apps. Disney's gonna have an app coming out pretty soon. That's why all the Marvel shows are over there. Um, so HBO, they're already out of boxing. Showtime, to me, they're slowly probably going to be out of boxing soon too. Um, I just don't see them lasting too much longer. I mean, it's just the way of the future. It's the way of the world. It's where it's headed. Um, I thought Showtime has done a better job with their boxing program the last couple of years, but I don't know if they'll have enough to compete with ESPN and eventually ESPN Plus and DAZN and stuff like that. So I think Fox will be okay because Fox is a huge network. So um, I think Fox and ESPN will be fine. But it's good that ESPN has ESPN Plus. Um, we'll see what happens with that. They still got to groom those type apps too. Because everyone had a hard time trying to get Terrence Crawford versus Jeff Horn on ESPN Plus. I don't know why they put that on ESPN Plus, but um, I kind of feel bad for Terrence Crawford. In fact, just because really for a lot of African American fighters, they never seem to get really a big bag. Tyson Fury got a huge bag, Canelo got a huge bag, uh, Triple G just got a huge bag, and I guess he's also part shareholder for the zone or something like that. So when are these African Americans going to get some big ass deals? Um, I know DAZN has money to splurge, but they're just trying to get their feet wet in terms of the boxing stuff. But Showtime and ESPN, they've been around boxing well enough. So how come Terrence Crawford, who just became Ring Magazine's number one pound for pound guy, how come he's not getting a huge bag like that? He's been ESPN's top boxing viewer. People have been watching his fights more than Lomachenko. I like Loma, but his views aren't better than Terrence Crawford's. Teofimo Lopez, he's making a lot of noise, but he ain't bigger than Crawford right now. And I would slow down on trying to make Lopez versus Lomachenko. I think it's a good future fight, but like I said in my last video about Anthony Yarde going up against Kovalev, slow it down. Yes, he looked great, but who did he look great against? A guy who just got knocked out in his last fight. So, keep that in mind. Yes, he looks phenomenal. I like Teofimo. He shows some old school stuff in there. I think he's a promising fighter. But slow it down. Fight some able bodies. Fight Richard Comey. Fight Dennis Shafikov. Fight Javier Fortuna. Luke Campbell. Fight some Mercito Hesta. Dejan's Latitian. He needs to fight some legitimate, challengers and bodies first before you start taking on the top guy. I know Lomachenko hasn't looked great in his last couple of fights. The Linares fight, that was, despite ESPN's commentary, that was a close fight. His last fight was Pedraza. It was very competitive. So definitely 135 has been tough for Lomachenko. But, like Drake said, there's levels to this shit. So I would slow down on making these prospects fight these elite champions. Happened to Terry Norris, fought a big experienced puncher like Julian Jackson, Erickson Lubin when he fought Charlo. It might happen to Big Baby Miller versus AJ. AJ hasn't looked quite as sharp since the Klitschko fight, but he's still an experienced champion. Yes, we all think he ducked Wilder and really any elite heavyweight fight. Wilder, Fury, certainly Ortiz too. Um, I don't think AJ's been trying to fight any top 4, top 5 heavyweights since the Klitschko fight. But Big Baby Miller, even though I like Big Baby, he hasn't really beat anybody either. So he's kind of a shot in the dark. So we don't know. He might do well versus Anthony Joshua. I think he might, but he also could get beat the fuck up too. Especially he's been talking crazy, talking about dude's mom and stuff. So I'd be careful with the mom jokes. I know the Brooklyn dudes are good with the trash talk. Especially seems AJ and Eddie Hearn and them. They seem kind of thrown off by American media. Americans are we kind of assholes, to be honest. We don't really, even though we want certain things to be PC. We don't like the idea of newcomers talking that shit, especially not proving it yet. So, Eddie Hearn had a lot to say when he had the zone coming out. But like I said earlier, the zone's been making some big moves lately, so you got to give him props where props is due. Um, but you got the zone, ESPN, Fox. Like I said, Showtime. They're here for now, but I don't know how much longer they're gonna really be here. We'll see. Yeah, we'll just have to see. Um, uh, you know, I don't think they'll end as badly as HBO did, but I don't know. The end seems kind of near for premium networks hosting boxing and whatnot. I think and boxing used to be on CBS, ABC, NBC, ESPN. That used to be a norm. So it's kind of going back towards that way. Now, hopefully, we can get the best fighting the best as well. Get back to that as well on the norm. Um, you know, but it's the fans got to push for those fights. You got to push Sean Porter to fight Earl Spence. You got to push Keith Thurman. You got to push Danny Garcia and Earl and Terrence to get it on. Because ultimately fighters at that level, if they want the fight, they'll get it. Not saying guys like Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn make it easy, but if you really want the fight and you're a fighter of that caliber, you can make it happen. There's got to be give and take. Just like any relationship in life, right? You got to take a little bit less, maybe, or whatever the issue is. Um, and also the fans not just push for those fights, but also not be as brutal if these fighters do take these fights and if they do lose. You I think MMA fans are probably better about that than boxing fans. Fighters like Diaz can have like 10 or 11 losses, and I'm a Nate Diaz fan. Diaz fan of both brothers. They real with that Stockton slap, but just because a fighter has a couple of losses doesn't mean they're bums. It's who did they lose to? How did they lose to him? Was it competitive? Was it like, Ugas got 4 losses, but his last loss, you could argue he won. I know he lost to Amir Imam. That could have easily went the other way. Granados is another one of those fighters where A lot of his losses, you're kind of like, I don't know. You know, he looked good against Broner. Um, Harris Lendy Lara, you could argue he should be undefeated, or if he does deserve a loss, it would be Carlos Molina, Jared Hurd. I mean, obviously he did take the loss with Jared Hurd. I don't know. That fight could have went either way to me. Um, I think I had Lara winning by a round, but I wasn't mad that Jared Hurd got the dub. You know, I like Jared Hurd. Um, you know, kind of like a Black Margarito, but I think he's fighting J Rock soon. That's not a bad fight. Yeah, don't sleep on J Rock. J Rock wasn't doing too bad when he fought Charlo. Beat Ishe Smith. Um, he beat Nathaniel Gallimore, I think, and that was on the Lara Hurd card, right? So uh, he's been out for a while though, but that's not a bad fight. Jared Hurd fights are always interesting, so should be good as long as it lasts. But don't be shocked if J Rock outboxes him a little bit. I don't know how his chin will hold up, but I think the main reason why he got knocked out versus Charlo is that he just hung in the pocket a little bit too long with a good counter puncher, boxer puncher. So, you know, didn't tire him out enough. Um, but yeah, State of Boxing has definitely made some shifts. You know, you got Wilder on the zone. Who would have thought that? Early 2019, we got Wilder on the zone. That's like, wow, okay. Again, I'm not mad at it though. You know, I understand it. You know, all the fights he wants are on other networks. I mean, he already went through Ortiz, and it's not fair that he's the only guy that has to fight Luis Ortiz. You know, that's bogus. So, um, you know, Wilder's definitely earned it. You know, we'll see what happens with him and the rest of boxing and how ESPN, The Zone, Fox, how they all compete with each other. Is Fox going to give the Mikey Earl Spence a huge deal or something? You know, we'll see what happens. But definitely interesting what's going on in early 2019 for boxing. So definitely stay tuned to more and let you know what I can do better. Um, and yeah, just enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have a good one. And I'm out.